Let's get to the show. You ready for the topics?
Please.
Should be a fun time. Let's start with betting lines, actually. We're going to jump around a little bit. We're going to start with betting lines. Betting lines are out for night one of the college basketball season. For those that don't know, we're looking ahead to Monday. That is exactly 5 days from when we're recording this, 4 days from the time you're listening to this. There's a lot of games, not a lot of good games, but there's a lot of games, and there are a lot of lines. I think there's roughly 30. No, way more than 30. There's like 100 betting lines out right here. I've scrolled through this. I have a couple that catch my eye immediately. We are, of course, a betting show. For those that don't know, I do my daily picks, and what that looks like is 3 picks I put to my Twitter every single day during college basketball season. 3 consecutive years, I have hit roughly 30 games over 500 over the course of the year. I intend to do that again. We're 5 days from the season. There's a lot in flux right now. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, given my job developments. I don't know if I'm going to keep that ungated for free. I don't know if I'm going to ask people to pay for it. I don't know if I'm going to give it to the people of the Discord and that's it. There's a lot up in the air. I'm trying to figure it out. The point is, I'm going to be doing the picks. I just don't know where they're going to be going. So betting is going to be a big part of what Carter and I do during the college basketball season from a content perspective, even if that's just on this very show. And that starts right now, Cart, because let's get a very early look at week one's betting lines. What jumps out to you as the best value on night number 1 of the college basketball season?
Before I jump into this, Greg, can I get a one quick word sentence? Because I think a lot of people who bet on the first week of college basketball, they always have a way to approach it. Some like to stay away. Some are scared of the space and the opportunity because you haven't watched these teams do something. You haven't watched these teams do anything. Is there one thing that you look for when you look at these games, or do you just kind of do what you do naturally and just trust it and understand that you know the facts, know the stats, and know the team at this point?
I have one word for you. Trust. The first week of the college basketball season from a betting perspective, which historically, if you look back through my daily picks, has been more profitable for me than the end of the season. As crazy as that is, I actually think there is a better value at the beginning of the season than there is at the end of the season. I think you can beat the computers before the computers know that you're beating them. At the end of the season, they catch up. You got to trust your gut. You got to trust your reads. You got to trust that you know better than the analytics models when there's not data from the games where the discrepancies are. I have some very clear teams I've circled that I think are undervalued or overvalued, and that is how I will be betting the first couple nights.
I love that energy, and that leads me into my first pick and the one I feel the best about an opening night, and that is the Purdue Boilermakers minus 19.5 at home versus Samford. Let me walk you through this. I'm getting, in my eyes, no, in everyone's eyes, a top 3 team in the country at home against a Samford team that has Riley Allenspatch, a 6'11 freshman who has the face of Riley Davis, and then Zach Loveday, who's a 7-footer from Baylor, who in every year at Baylor could not manage to touch the floor whatsoever.
Hey, no Zach Loveday disrespect on the show.
Really?
I love Zach Loveday. His name's Loveday.
Okay, respect that. But also respectfully, I can get Purdue to win by 20 points. I think Purdue could play a bad game and somehow stumble their way to winning by 20 points. At first, when I saw this, I was shocked and I was like, wait a minute, why is it only 19.5? Then I looked deeper into it. I'm like, this is an opening day gift from the betting gods. Purdue minus 19.5 is my favorite play, I think, of the opening weekend.
I had that one circled. I'm going to go back to you in a moment, but yeah, that was my actual 1A play. So we are aligned to start. Quick number for you that I'm sure will be read on my daily picks video. Purdue last season. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the projections for this season. I'm not looking at last season. Some things that Purdue did last season. They played some very bad teams. They beat them pretty handily every single time. They beat Milwaukee by 31 points. They beat Austin Peay by 19 points. They beat New Orleans by 21 points. They beat Florida A&M by 33 points. They didn't play a ton of super cupcakes, but until they got to the NCAA tournament against Fairleigh Dickinson, they beat up on those cupcakes. I'm not even saying Samford is a cupcake. I don't think they are. But I do think this is a statement game for a very deep Purdue team that is just very good and should win this game by 25 to 30 points.
With you on that one. Can I try to guess what your 1A play is?
Well, that was my 1A play.
Oh, can I guess your 1B then?
You can. Yeah.
Is it Ohio State minus 19.5?
No. That one actually scares me a lot.
Why does that scare you? Talk to me on that.
Because I think back to the point of the Joe Jackson podcast we did last night. I think we got in over our skis on Ohio State a little bit. Just a little bit. Nothing crazy, but like just a little bit. You know? Like everybody looked at this team and was like, last year was a fluke. They return a lot. They're going to be fine. We like what they added. Also, like, isn't there a flip here that they were horrible and they lost their best player?
Oh, is that their best player? You told me they're not. That's not their best player.
Well, I thought he hurt him in every single aspect, but like that is a flip, right? Like there is a world where it becomes clear that like Ohio State was just awful last year and they lost their best player, right? Like that is a possible world. I need to see it. I wouldn't touch Ohio State until 2 weeks into the season is the point.
I'll tell you the only thing that scares me is that last season I think back to Cleveland State. That was a team. Cleveland State lost to Notre Dame College, a D2 school. And I bet, and I can't remember the team who it was, but it was a pretty good basketball team to beat Cleveland State and cover pretty easily based on their Division II loss results. And that bit me in the ass. But this one's a little different to me because I have 2 results to go off of for Ohio State's opponent. Oakland lost to Walsh College, and honestly wasn't really a game. Walsh was leading for most of the game, leading for all the game, and won pretty handily. And they let 2 guys from Walsh go for over 28 points. Okay. I think that Ohio State is talented enough offensively to be better than guys from Walsh. Now, Walsh is a good D2, don't get me wrong. Won their conference last year, but they lost to that team. Following that up, they beat Wayne State, another Division II team. Now, Oakland won this game. They won by 15 points, close at halftime, close for most of the game. Wayne State is picked to finish second to last in the GLIAC, which is a Division II basketball division, basketball conference. And they're picked to finish second to last to a very, very bad Purdue Northwest team, which received literally the only team in the conference to not receive a vote to finish outside of last place. That's how bad they are. So if I can get Ohio State to win by 20 points at home against an Oakland team that lost to a D2 and that struggled but ended up pulling away from a bad D2 school, I guess I'm just taking those odds.
I don't hate that. Yeah, I want to see it. That's where I'm at. There are certain teams where, like, no offense, but I just don't feel confident enough either way. And I think Ohio State 100% applies to that for me. I have a couple other games I circled, but before I get to the others that I circled, I want to ask you about your Spartans on opening night. Mm-hmm. Michigan State does have a game. It's late for some reason. I don't know why it's not like a 7:00 game here. It's all the way
8:30, I believe, right?
8:30. I don't like it. I love how locked in you are, though. 15.5 for the number 4 team in the country. 15.5 against James Madison. What do you think?
Not touching that.
Why?
Not touching that. And honestly, if I was to place it, it'd be on James Madison plus 15.5.
That feels crazy to me.
Michigan, I mean, based off the past couple, I mean, you spoke to so much about how Michigan State is the same team that they have always been. They are a slow starting team. They had games that were close last year against Buffalo. They had games last year that were close against the likes of Oakland. There's just games that they should blow teams out that they don't necessarily blow out. And I could see them easily winning this game by 14 points. And And don't get me wrong, I don't think it'll be close because I think it'll be like they're leading by 20 all game. You're feeling okay. Leading by 17, you're feeling good. End up winning by 14 points. That's just kind of how it is. And James Madison is a pretty good program too, by the way. Like they made the tournament 2 years ago. They're kind of like a classic, plucky, good, low major, like mid-major school. Not necessarily familiar with what they were this past season, but just thinking on my recent memory of James Madison, they are considered a good mid-major team. Like that's a pretty solid mid-major game. I wouldn't necessarily consider that a cupcake to start the year.
Come on. Really?
I wouldn't consider that a. I wouldn't
That's
consider that
what
a
we're doing.
cupcake.
That James Madison's a tough game to start the year. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
I think like Eastern Washington or something like that, or Eastern Illinois would be a cupcake to start the year. I don't even know what else the other team. James Madison does not fall in that category.
okay. I mean, they were 22-11 last year. They're not a bad basketball team by any means, but I don't know. I like you're Michigan State. You're fourth in the country. You should win that game comfortably, I would think. I don't think you're like if you win that game by 11, you're not a little like, yeah.
Well, I'm very about it, but I can see it happening. That's the thing.
Okay. My gut says Michigan State wins that handily, but we'll see. Okay. I thought I would dread this slate. I got to be honest. Like everybody has downplayed this and been like, oh, it's so ugly. What a waste of time. I'm already so excited for the slate. I have so many games I want to bet. We've just talked about a handful of them. I want to bet Michigan State to cover. We already talked about Purdue to cover. I have 4 that jump out at me immediately. By the time daily picks gets here, I will whittle this down to at minimum 3, maybe 5. It could be a 5-pick slate. Or I could do something completely differently because I might paywall some of this. I still don't know how it works. But can I run through my 4 real quick that I feel pretty good about?
Please do.
Lindenwood is playing Nebraska at Nebraska. The line is Lindenwood plus 23. I'm all over Lindenwood plus 23.
Talk to me, Gregory. Yes.
I want to look at Nebraska and what they did last season, Cart, because 23 points. I know we're not a math podcast. 23 points is a lot of points, is it not?
Yes.
23 points, in fact, is so many points. How many times do you think Nebraska covered 23 points last season?
Once.
One time, Carter. In 32 games, Nebraska covered 23 points once, and that was in a 24-point win at home against Arkansas Pine Bluff. I don't think Nebraska is built to beat anyone by 23 points. If you listened to Joe Jackson's pod last night, I think this Nebraska team is worse than last year's Nebraska team. And in fact, Keisei Tominaga might be hurt. We don't know. We haven't heard anything. We saw him hurt his ankle, and it looked really bad. So I really hope, knock on wood, I hope Keisei is available for this game. Even if he is available for this game, I would not expect him to play like 35 minutes and take 30 shot attempts like I think he will later in the year. 23 points is a ton of points. That's a crazy number for a team that might not have their do everything superstar. So I'm all over Lindenwood plus 23. My next one, St. Louis. This is the Shaheen Holloway Bowl. St. Louis is hosting or no, I'm sorry, that's not
St. Peter's and Seton Hall.
St. Peter's and Seton Hall. I'm sorry, I had it wrong. I literally added the wrong game in my DraftKings app. But I was circling St. Peter's. That's what I wanted to get to. This is the Shaheen Holloway Bowl. I believe they're 16-point favorites is the number right now. Seton Hall is over St. Peter's. Mm-hmm. Last season, Seton Hall hosted St. Peter's, and everybody thought it was going to be like Shaheen's going to take it easy type game. He won by 36 points. He won 80-44 at home against his old program. He poured it on them. I think this Seton Hall team should be better. I think they should take a step forward in year 2. I'm not expecting anything crazy, but I just would expect Shaheen Holloway's team to be a little more complete and look like a Shaheen Holloway team in year 2. 16 points, not a ton of points. So I think they should absolutely win big. I'm all over Seton Hall in that spot. Number 3, this is the game of the day to me. USC against Kansas State. It's a neutral site in Las Vegas. This is the one game everyone should want to watch, if not bet. But you know us, we're gonna have a bet on it. Who do you think we're betting in this spot, Cart? USC -3 against Kansas State on a neutral site in Las Vegas. Who do you think we're betting?
I think we're betting on Isaiah Collier and Boogie Ellis.
Yeah, damn Skippy, we are. There's no chance. There's no chance, with all due respect to Jerome Tang. We love Jerome Tang. There's no way we're not betting on the more fun backcourt here. And Tyler Perry might be great. We might be wrong. Arthur Kaluma might be the best bad basketball player. He might be the worst good basketball player. We still don't know. Hopefully we'll find out by the end of the season. I think there's going to be a huge adjustment. I think there's going to be a massive, holy shit, he's not Keontae Johnson moment for Jerome Tang in this game. Holy shit, that's not Marquise Noel. Jerome Tang's going to be in the locker room 10 minutes before the game, realizing, whoa, these guys don't like Lil Baby. What do I do? Like, that's messy for me. Boogie Ellis and Isaiah Collier have none of these concerns. Bronny James will not be available. Those dudes are going to be the best two players on the court. And I think this is a breakout moment for Isaiah Collier. And you can try and tell me Las Vegas is a neutral site for this game. I don't think Las Vegas is going to be a neutral site for this. I think there's going to be USC fans here.
Gregory, I was in California on my West Coast trip, and I flew to Vegas before I went to Mount Zion and Zion National Park with my wife. It's a 45-minute flight, and you can go round trip for like $70.
Yeah.
It's gonna be filled with USC fans, and I want you to take 2 more points into this game as well. Naquan Tomlin, one of my favorite players, not going to play for Kansas State. Number 2, Kobe Johnson is one of the best defenders in the country. He is the perfect player to have a player like Arthur Kaluma in hell. Let that be known. And all the other reasons you said, I'm with you on. We're aligned on that. And at the end of the day, this is going to be the first of many games that I have money riding on the fact that I can bet on a backcourt of Isaiah Collier and Boogie Ellis. Boogie.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd bet that line up to like 7.5, honestly. And it's 3. It feels good. And then the final one that I have circled right now, again, I have to whittle this down by the time the games get here, but you said it won't be the last time. It'll be the first of many times we bet on USC. It's also going to be the first of many nights of the season we bet on New Mexico to close the night.
Let's go.
New Mexico is 17-point favorites at home against Texas Southern in one of the latest games of the night. It's 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And if you think for 1 second we're not going to get to like 9:27 p.m. Eastern, and then you and I are going to shoot each other a quick FaceTime or a text that's like 3 minutes till New Mexico, how's your bankroll looking? Like, the truth is we're putting whatever we have on New Mexico to cover in that spot. It's a pastime for us to bet New Mexico as the final game of the night and either go to bed happy or sad based on what Jalen House does for us. The truth is this team brings a lot of important pieces back. We like New Mexico. John Fanta just picked New Mexico to go to the Final Four tonight. I can't believe I heard that. I listened to the Field of 68 After Dark. He predicted that. We're supposed to be the New Mexico guys. And John Fanta just picked them to the Final Four. I feel like we have to outdo him somehow. But yeah, Texas Southern, there's nothing notable about. I'll provide some real research when the season gets here. But just like a mid-200s KenPom team, New Mexico should be good.
Yeah, they are going to be good. I mean, Jalen House, Jamal Mashburn Jr., Donovan Dent, they got Nelly Joseph Jr. from Ionia. Like, they're going to be really, really good. And also, that's not going to be the last game of the night. Just let that be known, because if we don't win our New Mexico bet, we're going to shift to the midnight game, which is probably like Pacific versus Hawaii, and we're going to find some value. But I just want to let that be known as well.
In like 3 days, when we end a betting segment like this, I'll be able to plug whatever our betting content is. Right now, I can't, because I still don't even know where it's going to be or what it looks like. But know that there will be a lot of betting content coming from the two of us collectively. We've been doing the college football newsletter. Honestly, I would love to do a written form during college basketball season, and I may have the bandwidth to do that now. I don't know that Carter does, but between the two of us, we'll come up with something that should be a good product for people. And at minimum, my daily picks will be there every single day of the season. So we'll find a way to give that to you in some form if you're looking for gambling content. More to come from us.